Hi there, this is Meg Sharp, personal trainer, mother of two, and aspiring gardener. It's cold and miserable out today, so I'm going to take full advantage of the opportunity to not be in my garden, but rather to prepare my body a little bit for the weeks ahead. We know that gardening is a fantastic exercise. It also confers lots of other health benefits, getting outside, getting some vitamin D, sense of purpose, fresh air, sunshine, all of that great stuff. We also know that it can lead to overuse injuries if we're not careful. Like most Canadians, I haven't been in my garden for a really long time, and so I'm not necessarily strong in the right places. We also know that there's ways of gardening, ways of positioning your body that are safer, more effective, more efficient, so that your low back, your shoulders, your neck, your elbows, your forearms, and your hands aren't as susceptible to overuse injury. So today, I'm going to take us together, you and I, through a series of exercises. We're going to do a bit of mobility to warm up through the neck, the ribs, the shoulders, the hips. I'm going to give you some strengthening exercises to activate, innervate, kind of get your body ready. And then we'll also review some mechanics on some of the lifting and seated positions that you might be taking. Okay, so I do have some stuff today. I do have a lacrosse ball. You could also use a tennis ball. The firmer the ball, the better. I am going to make use of a band. You could also use a tea towel and do it isometrically instead if you like. I've got my yoga mat down on the ground. Of course, you could use a towel. And then I don't have a gardening stool here. So I'm going to use this bowl just to facilitate a little bit of depth. Oh, hi, Rocket. And then I have two things of laundry soap. You could also use weights. You could use weighted water bottles. You could use bottles of oil. But I would like you to see if you can try and find something, two objects of similar, relatively significant weight for some of the work we're going to be doing on prepping to lift soil from the ground and trying to make believe that we've got a weighted wheelbarrow here. So to start with, we're just going to start with some mobility, first of all, through the shoulders. So I want you to take the lacrosse ball and drop it right into the pec. So right into this muscle right through here. The pec fibers run right along here. We're going to dig that ball in and run it across the fibers. And then we're going to try and find some little spots where there is tension, where the tension is pretty ropey. I found one right about there. So I'm going to push down with both hands into that spot, right into that tension ball. Then as I continue to push with the opposite hand, I'm going to reach this hand up, take a nice deep breath in, and as I exhale, I'm going to retract and depress my shoulder, move the arm back away from me, and actively release through that tissue. So I'm lengthening that tissue as I pin it, so I'm continuing to press on that exhale, reach back. I'm going to do two more, so about 5 passes. I'm going to find one more spot and do the same thing on the other side. Neck is nice and long. Great. I'm going to roll in. I'm going to find another one, a little ropey one right there. Same thing, I'm going to push right down on that tissue. Take a nice deep breath in and pull back. Retract and depress the shoulder blade. So I'm actively recruiting the muscles between my shoulder blade and my spine, some of the muscles through my lats, those muscles that draw the scapula down and back. Really important that we get strong and stable in that position, but often having a really tight chest or really tight pec minor will disinhibit that, right? So it won't allow that shoulder to sit naturally or nicely in that back position. So I've opened that up a little bit, and actually the shoulder does now feel like it's happy to sit back a little bit more. So now I can strengthen it in that position. As importantly, I can garden with the shoulder back in that position a little bit more. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, I'm going to roll around a little bit, go against the fibers, and then I'm going to find that little sweet spot, push in, and then take a nice deep breath and exhale as I come back. Again, nice deep breath. So we know that anatomically, that humeral head, that head of that arm, is meant to sit a little bit down and back in the shoulder socket. So we get optimal use of the shoulder. It's optimal mechanics there. It also, when that shoulder capsule is a little more open, so the arm bone sits a little more down and back, the scapula sits a little more down and back, the innervation, the nerves that run from my spinal cord down through my arm, into my elbow, my forearm, my wrist, and into my hands are also optimal. There's a more open pathway for that nerve to come down and fire, which means I can recruit those muscles. I'm going to find another little spot here. I can recruit those muscles much better. It's much safer. They are much stronger and therefore less susceptible to overuse injury, right? The epicondylitis and carpal tunnel syndrome and all kinds of strains that you can get through the elbow, wrist, and hand capsule. You're going to reduce the risk of overuse injury if the muscle innervation is optimized, because then the muscle is strongest. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, great. So we've opened up the shoulder. Next thing we're going to do is increase our ability to rotate. So when we rotate, specifically our abdominal muscles will only allow us to rotate about 10 to 12 degrees. So that's right about there. As you rotate beyond that, you start to recruit into your rectus spinae, get into the low back. It's not really where you want to go. So made a recommendation in our blog that, first of all, anytime you're gardening and you have to rotate past that point, you actually kind of reposition yourself so that you're not kind of really rotating, twisting to this point. But let's see if we can optimize our ability to rotate a little bit more by opening up a bit more through the rib cage. You're going to take your hands, cross them over your sternum. You're going to drop your chin down a little bit towards your sternum. Take a nice deep breath and exhale to one side. Just kind of check how far you go. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale and go to the other side. Okay, so check that. Now I'm going to go back to this original side. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to take a nice deep breath in, staying. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to try and rotate a little bit further, engaging a bit through the abs. Take a nice deep breath in. We're going to do this 3 times. Exhale, rotate a little further. Gently, we're not forcing it. One more time, nice deep breath in. Exhale and rotate a tiny bit further. Great, and relax. Yep, I can actively go further now. So I can get further just using I can still keep my hips nice and square. I'm not twisting or reaching into the back. So I can get just a tiny bit further. Let's go on the other side. Nice deep breath in, exhale, stay here. Nice deep breath in, exhale, gently go a little bit further. Take a nice deep breath in, exhale, go a little bit further. So we're isometrically engaging through the abdominals, using those obliques to try and control that rotation a little bit further, kind of holding in that spot, and relax. Great. Okay, that feels good. Okay, into the hips. So standing or hanging onto something, we're just going to go into a few little hip cars. So all I'm doing is I'm balancing here. Very happy for you to hang on for this exercise. Just going to do 10 circles. I'm circling the hip up and around, keeping the shoulders and hips nice and square, engaging gently through the abs and the glutes to control that movement. I'm just going to take these off because I'm just suddenly realizing that I'm gripping with my toes. I've got an unnatural amount of tension trying to hang on to my flip-flops. I can keep them on. And then we do the same thing the other way. So hips stay square, rotating up around. Again, please feel free to do this hanging onto something, especially if you might have a small creature at your ankles that could knock you over any moment. Great. And then same thing on the other side. I'm going to kick Rocket in the head. Yeah, so actively engaging through the abs as the knee comes forward, engaging through the glutes as the leg comes back, and just waking up, warming up that hip socket. So I'm imagining almost that the top of my thigh bone, it's like a mortar and pestle, and I'm just visiting every little inch. Well, I say every little inch. I'm visiting a lot of the range through that hip socket, but without pushing or increasing the range to the point that there's clicking, that my low back is arching, or that it's uncomfortable at all. Okay, so we want to keep these really nice and smooth. So visit as large a range of motion as you can, keeping that range of motion nice and smooth. And as usual, I am terrible at keeping track of where we are, but we're doing about 10 circles counterclockwise and 10 clockwise. Okay, open up those hips a little bit. So hips, ribs, shoulders, ready to go. I'm going to do a little bit of activation now. We're going to get right down on the mat into a hip bridge. And what I do want to do is I want to encourage you to be able to engage through the hips with a nice neutral spine. So I'm not allowing my low back to arch too much. I'm also not necessarily jamming my low back into the ground, but I've got a nice neutral spine. At the same time, I want you to retract and depress the shoulders. So we're repositioning in that nice open postural position. Remember, we talked about how the shoulders prefer to be in this position. It's anatomically better. It's better for innervation. It's certainly better for stabilizing through the neck. Much better activation through the lats as well, which are nice and powerful. As you retract and depress your shoulders, though, I want you to be aware of what happens with your pelvis. Because certainly for me, the minute I open up my chest, my pelvis wants to tilt and my low back wants to arch. So I'm going to have to add a little extra abdominal control, neutralize that pelvis, take a nice deep breath in, exhale, draw your hips up, feel that great juicy stretch through the front of the thighs. Deep breath in, come back down, draw the shoulders down and back, activate the abs, and come up and hold for 3, 2, 1. So remember that nice isometric hold at the top really helps to activate the muscles that are holding you in that position. It sends a really nice, strong signal to the body that it needs us to be strong and stable in this position right here. I can activate through my glutes, my abs, open up through the quads, and at the same time, draw the shoulders down and back. For those of you that are comfortable with, familiar with engaging your pelvic floor, I want you to think about doing that at the top of this movement as well. Anything we can do with the pelvic floor helps keep that pelvis more stable and optimize that breath. Again, shoulders down and back, a little bit of tension through my serratus anterior, a little bit into the lats, pressing the back of my head also down into the mat to start to wake up the muscles through the back of my neck to support that oh so heavy head. So warming up the postural muscles here, and then I do want to warm up and activate through the abs. I'm going to go into a modified dying bug position here. So I'm nice and strong through my abdomen. I can feel it gently firing. My low back wants to arch a little bit, but I'm able to keep that nice and strong. If this is too challenging a position for you, put one leg down. This is a fantastic place to go. Here, no, go get it. Go chew that. Again, arms can come up here. So this is your modified version, is one leg down and up, nice, steady and strong, nice and strong through the abs. And you're going to drop and hold on one side, a little more advanced. We're going to bring both legs up, and now you're going to take two hands on the opposite thigh. You're going to add about 5 pounds of pressure to this leg, and you're going to drop this heel down. No, please. Go. Yeah, excellent. So nice, steady, and strong. Remember, you're thinking about activating through the lower abdomen as you lift that leg off the ground. I'm also adding that challenge in of activating through the serratus anterior, through the lats, through the shoulders. And we're going to do 10 on this side and then change to the other. So remember, your modification is to keep that one foot down on the ground and simply have the arms up in the air. So here's our last one here, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, your modification would be leg down, and this leg is dropping down and up. More advanced, pushing about 5 pounds into the leg pushes back. For the love. Oh my goodness, dog. He loves being outside, my dog, and I just feel badly keeping him inside. And of course it is spring break, so my children are inside, tearing around the house, making all kinds of noise, playing tag and indoor basketball and everything. So forgive my exercise partner who is a little bit in the way, but we've all got to be as creative as we can be. Okay, so we've activated through the abs. Part 2. I lost you quickly, but now I'm back. Okay, so we've just finished warming up the abs and the hips. We're now going to review your hip hinge squat positioning. So this is really important, right? So
when I'm reaching down, going to grab something, going to lift something, I need to be thinking about hinging my hips forward a little bit first. So by hinging my hips forward, it's going to activate through my glutes, activate through my abs, send a message to my body that the lifters are going to be my abs, my glutes, and also we want to add in those lats. And that's why retracting and depressing the shoulders and all of this is so important. So we're just going to work into a little bit of a hip hinge exercise. So shoulders down and back, just isometrically contracting down and back, thinking about driving those shoulder blades down back, pardon me, driving the triceps together, elbows back and down, almost like you're shoving down into a desk or onto a kitchen counter, shove down with those forearms and elbows. And then full extension at the top, externally rotating my thighs as I come up. As I get a little more comfortable in that, I'm going to also start to get into a squat position. Right, so often we're not going to be necessarily bending to here and lifting, though we'll work on that for sure in a split stance today. More often you're going to start with your hip hinge, and then you're going to be coming down and lifting up. So we still start the movement with that hip hinge forward, come down, and lift. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it down in front of me. Now that's pretty low for me. I'm going to need a little more hip mobility to get down that far, so I'm going to go a little wider with my legs. I know this about myself, and for the most part, that's how you're going to be safer. I'm going to turn my feet out a little bit. So I look here, hips go back first, shoulders down and back, hips back, and then I start bending my knees to facilitate coming down to get that. Grab it, exhale to brace and lift it up off the ground. So now we've got a fantastic exercise to do. So let's try that. Let's put it back down, just try that first lift up, and then we'll keep it in that up position, and we're going to do 10 of them. So hips down the back, pick it up, and exhale to come up. And exhale to come all the way up, nice and strong. Through those hips, draw those shoulders down and back. Fantastic. Nice deep breath as you come back. Good. Let's do 5 more here. So 5 and 4. Last 3. Good. Last 2. And last 1. And then the beautiful thing about this is this actually allows me to rotate about that 10 degrees. So the next thing we're going to do is using that hip hinge, we're going to hinge down, we're going to hinge into this leg. You see, notice I'm hinging a bit more favorably into this leg. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to now hinge a bit more into this leg and put it down. Right, so come down, and perfect, and then bring it back up. So hinging just a little more subtly, transferring that body weight into one leg, and then the other. Knee stays tracking nicely over the toes, shoulders down and back. You've got that nice little transfer of weight. Oops. And again, pick it up, put it down, and again, pick it up, put it down. Let's do 2 more, and down, and go one more time, and put it down. Great, okay. Let's continue to think about opening up through the chest and activating through those shoulders. So really important that the shoulders stay nice and strong. Now, I like to do this from a kneeling position, in part because if you have a gardening pad, you may be doing quite a bit of work on your knees. And so it's good to remind the body that when we're in that kneeling position, it can actively extend through the glutes and the hips to keep those glutes firing, to keep the abs firing, and protect that low back. When you're in this position, then it is far more likely that you're going to be able to hip hinge forward to reach. So that rather than reaching down here, I can reach down, reach over from here. Keep those shoulders down and back, and try and do my reaching with my glutes and my abs engaged. But let's strengthen those shoulders so they're happier staying down and back. So drive those hips up and under, take a nice deep breath in. Start the movement by retracting or depressing the shoulder blades before the arms follow suit. Nice deep breath in and exhale, squeeze, hold, nice and long through the neck. And again, exhale, nice and long through the neck. And do 7 more of these. Again, how you start and finish the movement is key. We're not using the hands or the arms to start, but rather the shoulders. Have them travel down and back. Continue to extend those hips through. Fire through those abs, especially in this final position. We're really open through the chest. The low back is more likely to want to arch. And so we're activating through the glutes and abs to protect that low back. And exhale as you go. So let's do another 2. And last one. Terrific. All right. How many of you are going to use a wheelbarrow? So certainly to review how we would pick up a wheelbarrow again is just what we were talking about here, right? So arms come down, hips go back first, knees bend a little bit, and then we would grasp onto those wheelbarrow handles and come up. When you're ready to start moving, you're going to take a step forward, push off with both glutes, keep that lean forward as you walk. So let's load that position. So I'm going to use my 2 soap bottles here. They're a little bit different, so I am, when I do multiple sets, I'm going to make sure that I switch sides. We should probably do this original logo showing. Typically music would just turn around. There we go. Turn well. Anyway. I'm not promoting or sanctioning anything. You could use paint cans, you could use olive oil bottles. So here, I am going into my hip hinge, but I'm doing it in a staggered stance. So one leg in front of the other. This is really like a one-legged hip bridge. So I lean forward, abs are nice and strong. All of my weight, or the majority of my weight, goes into this front leg, nice and strong through the abs, shoulders down and back. And then I flex through my abdominals and I extend through both hips to bring myself up into that fully extended position. So again, majority of the weight through the front leg at first, and then I push in and transfer weight also into that back leg to fully extend the hips. Is that what it looks like to push a wheelbarrow? Not exactly, but I'm definitely activating the appropriate muscles for it. So it's a great one to do. Let's load it. Shoulders down and back. We're going to come down, nice deep breath in. Push through this front leg and extend. And we're going to think about a little bit of external rotation through the thighs as we come up. Both feet fully planted into the ground, so using 3 points of contact right behind my big toe, behind my little toe, and into the outside arch, and then of course into the heel. And again, nice deep breath in and exhale to come up. Let's do 4 more and we'll switch sides. So really loading that front leg as I come down, transferring some load into the back glute as I come back up. Nice and long through the neck, shoulders down and back, lats in the back of the shoulders, contracted, switching sides. So a little more load into the front leg. This one feel good. Stretch through that hamstring on my right leg, on this leg here. And then I'm flexing through the quadricep and the glutes, fully and actively extending those knees as I come up. Hips back, and weight into the front leg as I come down, right? It's not weight into the back leg as you come down. It's weight into the front leg and front foot as you come down. And then transfer that weight a little bit into the back leg as you come up, almost like you're getting ready to propel yourself forward, right? As you come up into that position. So we're going to go 3 more, and I'm actually going to switch legs. get you to come down into a row. This is a phenomenal way to load that hip and back to make you really strong and keep you safe. So I'm going to bring the other leg forward. I'm going to transfer to just one weight at a time. This puts the load, the shear on the low back, makes it a little less, it's a little easier to control. So down we go into this hip hinge. And all the weight comes into this front leg. I want this front leg to be crying. Shoulders down and back. You can keep your hand on this thigh or not. I'll leave that up to you. Ensure that low back isn't arching. You've got good control through those abs. Draw the shoulder down and back and head right into a row. Nice deep breath in, hold back. Keep this loaded leg lit up. Nice and strong. Again, initiate the movement with the shoulder blade. Open up through that chest. And we're going to do another 4 here. So 4 and 3. Good. Last 2. And last 1. Let's put that down. And incidentally, I'm in a position that can be good. It can be safer for pulling as you reach down to get certain things. If you're not ready necessarily to hang it on your knees, you've just got a few pulls that you want to do here. This is a great position to be strong in. One of the things I talk about in the blog is taking lots of breaks though, right? So I'm not going to spend too much time in this position, spend a bit of time in this position, and then we're going to find something else to do. Kneeling, squatting, sitting, walking, change it up. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. So again, opposite leg forward, hip hinge, back, nice and strong through those abs, draw the shoulder down and back, and pull nice and long through the neck. Again, initiate the movement with that shoulder blade, big right foot on the ground, and the right leg is forward. So right behind my big toe, follow the foot behind my little toe and heading into that outside arch. And then also connecting with the heel and pushing the mat and the deck away from me. And again, retract and depress. And keep retracting and depressing as you bend that elbow. And that spine nice and long, nice and open. That right glute is really lighting up this kind of. Good. And we'll go one more. Sorry, terrible counter. The worst. The worst you wouldn't believe. I started my university life with major math. Okay, back down on the hips. You can do this standing. This is great. One of the other things we're going to do is be reaching up and pulling down. And I want you to be pulling, not with the elbow and hand and wrist, but pulling with the shoulder and lats. These are your powerful muscles. Also, as you pull, the tendency is going to be to pull and arch that back. So I want you to tuck the hips under and keep nice and stable through there. So again, we're down on our knees. Nice strong hip hinge forward. If it is not comfortable to do this on your knees, you are fabulous to do this standing. Absolutely no problem. Just if we're standing, I want you to also ensure that you tuck those hips under, keep those abs engaged. I also, just for the purposes of the video, it's better for me to be on your knees so you can see my hands. Okay, so up and under, bring the band up. Start by pulling the band apart a little bit to create some tension, create some load, and then I want you to drop the shoulders down, right? This part of the movement is key. Drop the shoulders down, and then continue to draw the shoulders down and back as you pull the band down to your sternum. So chin up nice and long through the throat. Deep breath in and exhale, pull down, squeeze, hold. Shoulders down and back. Again, nice deep breath in. Pull apart, drop the shoulders, pull down, squeeze, hold. And again, pull apart, drop the shoulders, pull down, squeeze, hold. Drop the shoulders, pull apart, pull down, squeeze. Right. And again. Fantastic. Let's do another 4 here. Hold. Open up through that chest, drawing the shoulders down and back. tucking the hips under, driving through those glutes and abs. Right. Fantastic. Good. And let that go. Okay. Right down into a quadruped position. So in our quadruped position here, I just want to work on activating the muscles that you will use as you start to kind of hinge forward and do various things on the ground to ensure that those abs are really working and that those shoulders are down and back in that nice retracted position. So from here, I'm just going to drive through my abs. I'm going to externally rotate my arms. So I'm going to imagine that I'm opening some pickle jars on the ground to create some nice tension through there. And then lifting one arm at a time, I'm simply going to touch the opposite shoulder, creating a nice tripod of tension. So I'm here, I've retracted and press the shoulders. There we go. Okay, now, if this is easy enough to do, you're going to try lifting the knees off the ground, and you're going to create that tension pattern here. So keep the hips nice and square, transfer over, hips nice and square, externally rotate the shoulders, keep the hips as still as you can. Let's do 3 more, nice and strong through the abs. 3, 2, and 1. And drop that down. Beautiful. Take a stretch through the shoulders. Push the hands down into that mat. And then finally, I take my little gardening stool here. I'm just going to sit down nice and low. So how am I sitting down? I'm really going to need to go wide through those legs. Draw the shoulders down and back. Start with the hips. Hips, hips, hips. Keep reaching the tailbone back and come down to this position. Most of you are going to be more comfortable with fairly wide stance through those legs, and you're hinging forward from the hips. And again, I would caution you that you can turn, and when you turn, you're going to turn your entire rib cage and your shoulders towards one thigh to reach here. You can turn your entire rib cage and your shoulders to this thigh to reach here. When you reach the point where you're going past that 10 to 12 degree mark, I would like you to turn your feet and legs and work from here. But hinging forward nice and long as you pull, trying to keep those shoulders in that nice open position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all the luck and the sunshine and wonderful weather and everything that you need to make that garden glorious and fruitful and full of nutrients. Those of you who are good at growing vegetables, it's amazing. And thank you so much for going home to yours.